Hello everybody and welcome back to my day 3 recap of the International 2016. So this is the second day of group stage, and as you can see here, this is how the table looked after the previous day. And if we look at Group A standing after the second day, it is very apparent who the strongest team in this groups are. And with no further delay, let's take a closer look at how each team did today. Finishing top of the group by going 4-0 after the second day of the group stage is Team EG. Their schedule today was relatively easier than others as they played against Escape and TNC, so I guess it's expected for them to go 4-0. But it's also important to keep in mind that they pretty much had the hardest matchup possible yesterday by playing against OG, Navi, and Wings, and they were still able to tie for first. So that means the rest of the group stage should be relatively easier for them, and with 8 points after today, they're pretty much 1 point away from securing a spot in the winner bracket. So it seems like the defending champion has regained their form and looking like they'll be a force to be reckoned with at the main event. Finishing second in the group by going 3-1 today was Team OG. They played against Wings and Escape today, and they had a rough series against Wing. However, that was somewhat expected, as Wing seems to have bounced back after a horrible day 1. And I felt like OG should be happy walking away with a tie there, because it really seemed like they were going to lose the series 0-2 at a certain point with how the games were going. And the second series against Escape was an easy 2-0 for OG. So OG is pretty much performing up to expectation, as I feel like they have only dropped like one game so far in the group stage where they should not have. But every game they play very well, and whenever they draft a solid, they always seem to come out as the victorious team. Placing third after day 2 is Wings, and like I've mentioned before, it seems like they have found their form again after their terrible start on day 1. And with the way the schedule was set up, they had to play OG first in the morning, so they could have easily started the day 0-2 and began to tilt. However, they came out very strong and they played an incredibly tense series against OG. And like I've said before, I feel like they could have won that series 2-0 if some of the fights went their way. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, going 1-1 against OG was still a very good result, and they finished the day by beating Alliance 2-0. However, because they dropped the games where they really shouldn't have on the first day, the standing is still very tight, and they're only ahead of the Chillin team by 1 or 2 points. At fourth place, we have a tie between Alliance and TNC. Alliance started off the day by beating Navi 2-0, but then they dropped the series against Wings by losing 0-2. And the wins against Navi was crucial, as Navi seems a bit lost so far in the group stage. And the loss against Wings is somewhat expected, I suppose. So I guess all I can say about Alliance is that they performed up to expectation. They picked up games where they needed to. However, they could not exceed their expectation with any upsets. So all this means that their performance tomorrow will be very important, as it will certainly decide if they will make it in the winner bracket or not. As for TNC, I think they have emerged as the Chinese slayer for Group A. After their upset against Wings yesterday, today they have defeated LGD, the other Chinese team in Group A, with a 2-0. But they then proceeded to drop both games against EG. And in both series, they played some ultra late 70-minute games, so they had a very entertaining day to say the least. However, it seems like they will need their best performance possible tomorrow if they want to make it into the top 4. And at 6th place, we once again have another tie, and this time it's between Navi and LGD. And after a disappointing day 1 for Navi, they started off day 2 doing just as poorly by dropping 2 games to Alliance. So keep in mind that at this point, after playing 8 games, Navi has only 2 wins so far, which means that their second series against LGD, who was tied for first after the first day, was a must-win. And somehow, miraculously, Navi was able to pull it off after 2 intense 60-minute games. I mean, this win was so important for them because it basically kept their hope of making the winner bracket alive. As for LGD, after their surprising good start yesterday, they look extremely lost today. They have 4 gruesome games that average 50 minutes each against TNC and Navi. They definitely had a good chance to take at least 2 of those 4 games. However, at the end of the day, they came out on the losing end for all 4 games, which dropped them from tying for the first after day 1 to tied for 6. And it would require them to have a fantastic performance on the last day if they want to make it into the winner bracket. And in the last place for Group A was Escape Gaming, as they had the honor of playing the top 2 of the groups, EG and OG today, and as expected, they went 0-4. Mathematically, they technically still have a chance to make it in top 4, despite going 1-9 so far, but in order for them to get in the winner bracket, it would require them to win all of their games tomorrow, and at the same time, they have to hope for the other team to drop games in a very specific way, so that they will have a chance to tie with them at 5 points and play a tiebreaker. But a scenario where that can happen is very small, so realistically, Escape are pretty much guaranteed to be in the lower bracket. So this is how the matches panned out for today, and as we're certainly setting up for an interesting final day, as technically no one is safe top 4 and no one is guaranteed bottom 4 either, but realistically we will see intense battle for 3rd and 4th place in Group A tomorrow. And now we move on to Group B, and since yesterday we only had 2 sets of series for Group B, today we got 3 sets, and we're seeing a much better picture of how each teams are doing relative to each other, and that's compared to yesterday where we had 4 teams tied first. Surprisingly, emerging as the strongest team in Group B was actually eHome. Coming into the group stage, I think many people look at this group and thought Newbie or Team Liquid would take it easily, and I'm sure some people predicted eHome to do well, but I don't think anyone would realistically predict eHome to be top of the group after the second day. They had a perfect record day, going 6-0, defeating Secret, MVP, and Newbie. And with their 3-1 record on the first day, they have 9 points and are mathematically guaranteed to be a top 4 finish. Because with only 4 games left, only 3 other teams in the group can potentially get 9 points. And that means that the wildcard team, eHome, will be the first team at TI to secure a spot in the winner bracket. And also doing surprisingly well today was Digital Chaos. They had a slow start to it today. They dropped their very first game against VGR, who are considered one of the weaker teams in Group B due to their standing issue. However, DC bounced back and took the second game easily. They then proceeded to cruise through Newbie, taking both games in less than an hour, and then they finished off the day by going 2-0 against Secret. This result probably surprised many people as DC didn't look to be that good before TI. I mean, there were flashes of brilliance from their players, however, they were never able to do well consistently. But with 8 points at the end of day 2, they're only 1 point away from guaranteeing a spot in the upper bracket. And with the way they're playing right now, I can definitely see them making a deep run this tournament. At 3rd place, we have a tie between Newbie and Team Liquid, the 2 favorites of the tournament as well as the group. And I must say, as a favorite, both of the performance so far has not been that good. Newbie had a good start today with a quick 2-0 over Fnatic. However, they then proceeded to drop all of their games against eHome and DC, which allowed eHome and DC to surge past them in ranking. I mean, Newbie didn't do that terribly in their games, but their performance is definitely not meeting the expectation of many people have for them. And similar things can be said for Team Liquid. They had a very slow start where they tied for their 3rd series straight, as they went 1-1 against MVP, and then they proceeded to lose a series against VGR, which I think was a huge blow to them, since I feel like Team Liquid are just dropping way too many games where they should not be dropping, and this might come back and hurt them later on. And even though they finished the day by 2-0 in Fnatic, things are still very sketchy for Team Liquid, as the point margin between the mid-table teams are just way too close for comfort, and they really need all the wins they can get. Because the difference between getting 4th in the group and the 5th in the group is huge, as one team gets 2 lives at the main event, while the other one only gets 1 and has to play the best of 1 series as well. At 6th place, we have another tie, and it is between MVP and VGR. MVP has tied every single series with the exception of losing the one against eHome, and I feel like they're performing at about what you would expect from MVP, and they definitely saw a very good chance of making it in the winner bracket as they're only 1 point behind the 3rd place. As for VGR, after a horrible day 1 start, where they lost every single game, they had a fantastic showing today. They upset Liquid by winning that series, and then they tied a series against DC and MVP. So they went 4-2 today and jumped from last place yesterday to 1 point away from making it to top 4, which is very good considering their roster circumstances. At 7th place is Team Secret, where they did a reverse eHome and lost every single game today. I mean, to some extent, I can understand them losing to DC and eHome today, as both of those 2 teams are in very good form. But even then, I think Secret should have at least took a game or 2 off of those 2 teams. However, the biggest blow to Secret was when they lost to 0-2 to Fnatic. And before that series, Fnatic was still winless, so it was a really good chance for Secret to regain their momentum. However, Secret was not able to capitalize on their chances, and by going 0-6 today, they went from 1st place yesterday to 7th place today, and with only 4 games left to play, their chances of making the top 4 suddenly became very, very small. And in the last place is Fnatic, who was finally able to get 2 wins off of Secret, and with those 2 points, they have kept their dream alive going into the final day. And even though the chance is slim, but it is still a chance nonetheless. And at the end of day 2, this is how the matches in Group B turned out. With eHome securing their spot in the winner bracket and DC almost securing theirs, the battle for 3rd and 4th place finishes will be very close, as every team still has a chance to make it. And with that, this concludes my day 3 recap, aka day 2 of group stage for TI6. And just like yesterday, there were many amazing games and awesome moments from today, so please go check them out as I'll post the links below. And as usual, please consider subscribing to my channel and follow my Twitter if you like my content. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.